Hello. Let me share something with you that is a little trick in watching these videos. If you are watching some of our videos, and some of our videos are 8 and 9 minutes long that we're producing now, it is something that many people would like to watch as they're cooking or doing various things. And you can. Right here, let me find the right area, right there. On your television screen below my hand is a little box, and inside of the box there's a small TV screen. If you click on that, it will go to full screen on your computer. Now it's grainy, but it's nice to watch from across the room. Let me tell you about a wonderful Christmas gift that was given a couple. Their name is Mark and Karen Klein. They received a wonderful surprise just in time for their 27th wedding anniversary. They got married 27 years ago around this time. The Mansfield, Ohio couple were given a gift of wedding photos from the day they tied the knot as teenagers. At the time of their wedding, well, they couldn't afford their pictures. They couldn't afford to pay the photographer. The only photo that they ended up with was one that the guest had taken as Karen walked down the aisle. But the photographer, Jim Wagner, who is now 80, was cleaning out his things, and he found the photos, and he tracked Karen down. He said, "I knew that they didn't have any money back then, and I figured that they would like these photos now." Oh, my friends, we're only remembered for what we give. And I guarantee you that couple will remember that photographer for the rest of their lives. Always do something nice for people. Look for ways to do something nice. You'll find the opportunity. Pray first thing in the morning. Go to God first and say, "God, how can I make somebody feel better today? What can I say? What can I do?" Sometimes it's a smile. Sometimes it's a listening ear. Let me tell you a story. This is a funny story. There were two cows. They were chatting over a fence between the fields. And the first cow said, "Oh, I tell you, this mad cow disease is really getting pretty scary. Why, they say it's spreading fast. I heard it hit some cows down on the Johnson farm." The other cow replies, "I ain't worried. It don't affect us ducks." Isn't it funny? In spirituality and everything else, as we begin to grow, we always think that the problem is outside of ourselves, that it's with others. It's not us. I don't know who said this, but it's a wonderful quote. We have met the enemy, and it is us. I am teaching today about beginning every day with God. The first thing when you open your eyes in the morning, put God first. The minute the alarm goes off, put God first. Instead of putting on the pressures of the day. The Bible talks about putting on the Christ. Well, this is what you're doing. Now, sometimes we end up with God as a last resort. You know, you've been there, and I've been there many times. Oh, my friends, this is the hard way of doing it, the hard way of living life. And we don't have to do it that way. We can begin with God. When we realize that we can connect ourselves with God and prove what Jesus said, he said, "The words I say to you, I do not speak on my own, but the Father who dwells in me does the works." That's John 14:10. Almightiness begins to appear in our lives as we let it. If you're given over in your life to worry and anxiety, Think about the fearless confidence and trust of God. Think about God instead of the problem. God's Spirit will begin to work in you, straightening out your challenges. Instead of you being in a maze where you cannot think of how to possibly get out, well, God knows how to get out. We all know God is a resident in our lives, but God has to be more than a resident in our lives. God has to be the president of our lives. The government of our lives has to be on God's shoulders. There's a huge difference of being there and trying in our lesser human mind to be in control all the time. In the middle of the night, when we are worrying about this and that and tossing and turning, it all boils down to one thing. Are we living life as an amateur or as a professional? It boils down to the question, are you satisfied with the detours, or do you want the direct route? The direct route is the spiritual route, the route of ease, the route where your burdens are light. Paul said in the Bible, "This one thing I do," in Philippians 3:13. Most of us would have to alter that, wouldn't we? If we're really honest, we would have to alter that, and we would have to say, instead of "this one thing I do," we'd have to say, "these 50 things I dabble in." And we just dilute our power. We don't try to do just one thing. We try to do many, especially in our mind. That thief that the Bible talks about that comes in the night, then finds easy passage into our peace of mind, well, that is worry. Leo Buscaglia said that worry never robs tomorrow of its sorrow. It only zaps today of its joy. In Luke 12:22 and 23, Jesus says, "Therefore I tell you, do not worry about your life, or what you'll eat, or about your body, or what you will wear. For life is more than food, and body is more than clothing." What Jesus is talking here is about all those outer things. Those outer things that affect us. Things outside of the temple of where God lives, in you and in me. Those bills that affect us, those pressures that worry us, we need to think about God instead. God says, strive instead for God's kingdom, and these things shall be given to you as well. Do not be afraid, little flock, for it is God's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Jesus speaking in Luke 12:31. Make purses for yourself, Jesus says in Luke 12:33. What is a purse? A purse is where you hold your valuables. You might not have valuables in it today, but you would like to, and you will. You will, as you put God first in your life, because seek first God, and all these things will be yours as well. And also make a purse inside of your heart too, filled with love for life, your life, and others in your life. God bless you, my friend. Put God first.